beginning the prologue of Surprise Kill Vanish by Annie Jacobson. Some might say this is a book about assassination, but really it is a book about covert action. Tertia optio, the president's third option, when the first option, diplomacy, is inadequate, and the second, war, is a terrible idea. All covert action is classified, designated to be plausibly denied, and because of this, it is sometimes called the president's hidden hand. The most extreme of all hidden hand operations involves killing a leader or prominent person, and this book focuses on that act. The president's third option was born in the wake of World War II, and those who created it did so to avert World War III, with its ethos in unconventional warfare. The Central Intelligence Agency officers and operators who conduct covert action were originally called the President's Guerrilla Warfare the President's Guerrilla Warfare Corps. Operators, same shit. The same legal construct that allowed national security advisors for President Eisenhower and Kennedy to plot and kill foreign leaders like Fidel Castro allowed Presidents Bush and Obama to create a system in which prominent people can be placed on a kill or capture list to be targeted and killed. This authority remains in effect today. Targeted killing is not limited to high technology drone strikes. The President's Guerrilla Warfare Corps kills enemies mano a mano in close quarters combat when necessary. The group that has the authority to conduct these lethal operations outside a war zone on the ground is the CIA's Special Activities Division. One of the most lethal components is called Ground Branch. The origins of the Special Activities Division, including its Ground Branch, lie in the CIA's Precursor Agency. The Office of Strategic Services, and specifically its Special Operations SO branch, a guerrilla warfare corps whose goal was to kill Nazis, to sabotage and subvert the Third Reich. The motto of one unit, the OSS Jedburghs, was Surprise, Kill, Vanish. The OSS was modeled after a wartime British organization, also classified, called Special Operations Executive, SOE. The idea that most people find hand-to-hand killing repugnant, but mechanized killing somehow more palatable, is central to this book. From the early days of the OSS Special Operations Branch to the present-day activities of the CIA's Ground Branch, the most ruthless and risky operations have evolved and transformed. Over the decades, killing a leader or prominent person under the rubric of covert action has been called many things by those who plan and oversee operations, but never assassination, because assassination is illegal. Killing a leader or prominent person at the behest of the president is legal under Title 50 of the U.S. Code. President Dwight Eisenhower's advisors discussed eliminating foreign leaders, and they set up a health alteration committee to neutralize or disable certain people. They spoke in riddles to uphold the construct of plausible deniability. Congress later found. President John F. Kennedy's advisor formalized killing and called it executive action. To President Ronald Reagan, the construct became preemptive neutralization. eliminating terrorists before they had a chance to strike again. Under President George W. Bush, the term lethal direct action was used. Under President Barack Obama, killing terrorists became known publicly as targeted killing. The question arises, how does killing any one person advance U.S. foreign policy objectives? This book aims to shine some light on how and why certain leaders and prominent people are targeted and killed. In the early days of covert action, there was no oversight. In the mid-1970s, after the Church Committee hearings produced a report called Alleged Assassination Plots Involving Foreign Leaders, oversight was given to Congress, where it remains today. Covert action orders are formalized by CIA lawyers in a presidential finding or memorandum of notification, MON. To be signed by the President, John A. Rizzo, former chief legal officer for the CIA, who served 7 presidents and wrote scores of these covert action findings, including the memorandum of notification that authorized legal direct action against terrorists as of September 17, 2001, which remains in effect today, goes on record in this book. William D. Waugh, one of the oldest, longest-serving covert action operators in the United States and a highly decorated U.S. Army Green Beret, makes up the core of this book. He is an extraordinary life spent dedicated to perfecting the art of covert action. Covert action is assigned to the CIA in peacetime, but run jointly by the Defense Department during war. But our last war was World War II. We haven't been in an actual war since then, so what the fuck are they talking about? Because foreign governments, non-state actors, and lone wolf assassins regularly try to kill Americans' commanders-in-chief, it is important to also understand how deterrence against assassination is the other side of the covert action coin. This part of the narrative is told through the lens of Louis C. Merletti, the 19th director of the U.S. Secret Service and a former member of the Counter-Assault Team, CAT, the paramilitary force of the U.S. Secret Service. Like Waugh, Merletti's unconventional warfare expertise comes from his combat experience in Vietnam as a Green Beret. I first started thinking about assassination in 2009 when I was working as a reporter for the Los Angeles Times magazine. A source visited my home on the way back from the Middle East. He worked in counterterrorism. That was the extent of what he could say about his employment situation. I knew him to be an expert weapons handler. He almost always traveled with gun cases, and yet the commemorative medallion he showed me was from his most recent travels read, American Embassy, Kabul, Afghanistan. Nothing in his area of expertise was rated to diplomacy, as far as I knew, but we both understood it was best to leave it at that. My 2 sons were young at the time, and dozens of G.I. Joes from the Revolutionary War era to the 21st century filled our California house and yard. The boys' request, the source painstakingly identified G.I. Joe's unique weapons. Confederate rifles with bayonets, N1 Garands, AK-47s, M16 rifles. Later, the source asked if it was okay to show my boys 2 real firearms for educational purposes. He was a licensed weapons safety instructor and had twice taken me shooting I said yes, watching carefully as I showed my children a sidearm and a compacted sniper rifle. I noticed that there was one case he never opened. Later that evening, I asked him privately what was inside. He opened it, revealing a large serrated knife. "What's that for?" I asked, almost immediately realizing my mistake. "Sometimes a job requires quiet," he said. He closed the case. Neither of us said another word. That was the moment I realized the obvious. The United States kills its enemies not only in high-technology drone strikes, but also at close range. I later learned from another source that my house guest worked for the CIA's Special Activities Division Ground Branch. This encounter stayed with me, as did the idea of close quarters killing and my reaction to it. I could imagine my house guest killing Al-Qaeda fighter using a sniper rifle, but the idea of him cutting someone's throat and thrusting it at a man's ribs gave me pause. Why? And why is all covert action secret classified, designed for the president to deny and the public to never know? My source never spoke about his work in the Middle East, not before he showed me the knife and not after. It was understood that his work was classified. Hidden programs are notorious places to cover up failure, to conceal egregious mistakes. I wondered if dispatching paramilitary operators around the world to conduct legal covert operations was all too often a recipe for disaster, or, instead, mostly a weaponized strength. Is killing a person decreed by the president to be a threat to U.S. national security right or wrong? Moral or immoral? Honorable or dishonorable? I found answers in writing this book. I hope readers find theirs. Join me